a technology company developing smart laser detection technology to protect lives. Our patented Iris technology uses an infrared laser, and it can detect retroreflective material which can be applied to people and property. And retroreflectors are commonly found on reflective safety vests and road signs. It's a fairly ubiquitous material. Two main applications for our technology. One is firearms. So anytime there's a risk of a person being mistakenly shot, so that's tactical situations, hunting situations, and the other one, of course, is industrial situations. So anytime there's a person at risk of being struck by moving equipment or machinery. And I've also recently discovered that our core technology also potentially has applications in the product authentication sector as a means of tagging and remotely scanning products to ensure they're genuine. Hunter Safety Lab is based in Wellington. We have 5 full-time employees. It was founded by myself and David Grove, and we're both award-winning industrial designers. We've got a formal board, we're angel investors funded, and we have made first sales, but we're still essentially pre-revenue. The primary reason we founded Hunter Safety Lab, being hunters ourselves, is to prevent the ongoing issue of hunting accidents. And in America, for example, 600 plus people shot a year in hunting accidents, and this is people, fathers shooting their sons, best friends shooting each other. You know, the heartache is incredible, and the really scary thing is 2 out of 3 of those victims are shot by the person they're hunting with. So it's not some stranger, it's a trusted companion, family member or friend. And the only solution to this problem, and it's been around for 30 plus years, is for hunters to wear high-vis orange clothing. And yet the problem is more than half the victims who are shot are wearing it, so it's just not fully protective. There's a big gap, and there's many reasons why people make unconscious error. Hunter Safety Lab's product, the Iris technology, consists of a sensor that mounts on the gun and a special type of infrared retroreflective material that can be applied to clothing and equipment of a hunter. And the sensor is very simple. It just gives the shooter a warning if they mistakenly target somebody from their hunting party or anyone else using the system. Given that the existing solution is high-vis orange clothing, this is really creating a completely new category of product in the hunting market. And there is genuinely nothing else like it there. And hunting is a large market. You know, there's 20 million hunters in the States spending billions of dollars a year on equipment. In Europe, there's a further 8 million, and they're all operating in a very safety-conscious environment with a lot of regulation. And in fact, in America, many of the states actually mandate the use of high-vis orange clothing, and Europe also. Iris product won the Supreme Award at the previous Best Design Awards. That's the New Zealand Design Industry Awards, voted Best Product. We've had really great reviews and exposure right around the world from many countries, especially in Europe. And one of the interesting things, though, we're finding is that being a new category of product, a new safety product into a relatively conservative consumer market, is that it's, you know, it is actually challenging. You can get exposure, but getting adoption is hard. But for one of those reasons, we're now focusing more on B2B relationships. And so one of the people that approached us was a large Austrian arms manufacturer called Steyr. And they developing some really innovative things within firearms to improve their safety. And one of the things that we're working on with them is to integrate our technology into the stock of the gun. And it means it literally can't fire if it's pointed at someone wearing one of our vests or caps. And that's primarily for the big European driven hunt scenes when there's, you know, like 40, 50 guys out together. We're also working with several protective dog vest manufacturers in Scandinavia. So hunting dogs are actually, ironically, a really hot niche for us because people spend money on their dogs and they want to protect them. You know, you have really valuable multi-$1,000 hunting dogs getting shot, and you know, hunters really want to protect that asset. Iris technology also has tactical and law enforcement applications, and we know this from all the feedback we've got from the States on our trips there, and we currently have product under evaluation at a US government facility. We're trying it out, and the feedback has been positive. One of the big drivers we see for the adoption of Iris technology is a new category of product, raising awareness, but really it's the liability and the insurance angle. Anytime people pay to shoot operations, occupational health and safety, best practice, and that's a real motivating factor. And we're second biggest insurer in the US of hunting lease land, and outfitters and guides currently has the Iris products and are considering using them as part of their customer loyalty program. Iris isn't just about the hunting gun applications. It's actually a platform technology with applications across the wider industrial space. So one of the people we're working closely with now, and they've just spent a considerable sum with us to develop a prototype for the forestry industry, is Waratah. And Waratah is a wholly owned subsidiary of John Deere. And there's really high pain points in the forestry industry, safety critical applications, and Iris technology is going to be deployed on this equipment, and relatively quickly will probably become standard place in the forestry sector. And it's not just forestry, it's pretty much anywhere where workers are at risk of being struck by moving objects. So it might be in a warehouse situation or a port or a dock, anything that's got a directional component of a person being struck. So Hunter Safety Lab really is all about smart people developing smart products that save lives. We've got licensable technology, so that's one of the big things, licensing our technology. That's patented, we hold US granted patent. Award-winning design, we've got multiple billion-dollar sectors, and they're all driven by liability and insurance issues and partnerships with some major global brands. We're looking to raise more money later this year, and we're really interested in if there'll be appetite from American investors for this sort of proposition, and people who understand the space perhaps. So if you know anyone you can introduce us to, that'd be much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Okay. Wow. Yes? Oh, this is what it looks like. Okay, super. So I think I get the idea. So just so I'm understanding, the point is that you sell on the one hand the detector, right, and on the other hand the clothing that the detector detects.
Correct. So the laser sensor, the proprietary bit of the technology is in the sensor hardware,
right,
and it can detect retroreflectors. And retroreflectors are not proprietary to us, so they're quite ubiquitous, but there's different types of them, and the ones that we use on our particular clothing are very high precision, ones called microprismatic retroreflectors, and they provide a much greater level of performance. And there's only a few companies in the world that make those, so we have partnered quite closely with Avery, a company called Avery Dennison Reflective, and they're a major manufacturer of this sort of equipment, and they optimise that material for us, and we do some things to it to make it more optimised for the infrared light spectrum.
Okay.
So although we can detect a standard high-vis...
So what's your accuracy if I'm wearing a standard cheap yellow or orange vest versus the specialty stuff?
The same accuracy, but just we extend the range. So if you're wearing a more high-performance one, you can get much better performance. So for example, if a hunter, typically the average hunting accident distance, someone's shot about 40 yards away.
Okay.
Now that range, we only need to see about this much of our material poking through the gaps between the trees somewhere. So it provides very effective pickup, whereas the lower quality glass bead retroreflectors, like the grey strips that you would commonly see.
So what are you going to recommend? I mean, I'd say...
we specifically sell and package and recommend it as Iris compatible.
Right.
The items that we produce, the vests and the caps.
Okay, so you so are you in the business of the vests and hats?
Yes, we are. We do make.
You are in the business. Okay, that's what I thought.
And also partnering with other clothing companies to apply that same technology to their clothing.
Okay. So now, could you just quickly, the value proposition seems very clear very quickly. We save lives, so that's good. But it's clear there's an economic around this that's very complex, that has to do with liability and insurance, because the economics of this don't play particularly for the hunter, or do they? I'm not clear, right? Because
they do in respect that more than 2/3 of accident victims are shot by their companion, and therefore as a small group of people, like a mother, for example, could say to her husband and her son or daughter going hunting with them, you're not going hunting unless you're using this technology.
Right, but that's not an economic decision. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's an emotional decision.
Right.
Yeah, but from someone like Waratah or the John Deere, the forestry application, there is a very compelling proposition like lowered levies, discounts. They just conform to best practice in mitigating liability issues.
How much are you selling these for?
Currently in the market, the sensor comes comboed with the vest, so to keep it together, vest, the sensor, and the mount for $399 US.
Okay. Okay, well that's not too crazy.
Okay, so to go back to the economics, right? So you're not selling this on an economic, you're not selling this on an economic basis to the hunter, but there are other stakeholders.
Yes.
And I'm not clear in the hunting world who the stakeholders are. Are the gun manufacturers stakeholders from your point of view?
They are in respect to making innovative, new, smarter, safer products to
Okay.
keep hunting safer. So yes, and also the regulatory bodies. So in America, for example, many states
Right.
have laws that say if you're hunting, you must wear blaze orange. So there's a potential for future mandate, maybe down the track. And
So if you run a hunting expedition company, right?
Yep.
I'm guessing, I don't know this market that well, but I'm sure there's some number of hunters are actually hunting under the umbrella of some
yes,
organization.
commercial pay-to-shoot operations. Yeah.
So what liability do they have, and is that part of the economics of your business?
Well, that's something we're looking at now, and that's why the play with the insurance company in the States is quite interesting, because
Right.
I believe there is, because those guys, if there's an accident anywhere where you're paying somebody to hunt on their land under their watch, there's a real imperative there to do everything within your means to
Right.
make it as safe as possible. And in a parallel vein, in the States, a lot of hunters hunt from tree stands, and they have harnesses on, and a lot of those lease lands, they say, if you're hunting from a tree stand, you must use the harness. That's part of one of the conditions.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just to follow up on additional question here. So you say that you are, right now you're scaling this to more markets, is that what you're saying?
Actually getting into the understanding the customer insight to find actually what the real pain points are with hunters, which ones have the most critical pain point. And initially we'd thought, well, because we're from New Zealand, we're used to the hunting scene here, and people every year are getting mistaken for game and shot. But there's a real kind of won't happen to me type attitude that prevails. And so even though it totally can, and it does happen to people who are typically really experienced and safety conscious, what we're finding now is we want to focus more on those areas where that mental barrier is not so much there. So, for example, a big group hunting situation, a driven hunt in Europe, or perhaps a upland dog situation where you have a dog flushing game and lots of people around, so in more inherently dangerous situations where people recognise that there's an issue and are more willing to pay to improve safety.
But you're already out there in the world starting to talk to these different...
Yes, yeah, we have,
okay.
yes indeed. Yes,
so how many are on your team today?
We have 5 full-timers on our team.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're seeking a...
Well, we haven't actually determined, there's a couple of different models, like the Waratah deal, when we get that signed, and so we're currently producing a prototype for them. There's the opportunity and the likelihood that they'll put in a first order for several thousand units perhaps, and then we'll know that we'll factor that into our cash flow runway. But potentially there'll be a gap, so it might be a sort of a funding gap, or maybe something to actually give us the ability to scale up our sales and marketing and customer insight to really hammer that market with the right messages, because we think people will respond. There's a compelling value proposition. It's just being small and not having much resource to really capitalise on that is holding us back a bit.
So I guess the enthusiasts out there, the hunters, I'm like the last person that would go out and hunt. But those that are part of those groups that are, hunting groups and associations, and I'm guessing, are you starting some kind of like evangelism or enthusiasts around
actually,
that?
next week I'm heading to Iowa to attend the National Conference of the International Hunter Education Association. So that's a body in America who represent all the hunters that go through, or all hunters in America have to go through training. And the training is done by this group. They have 65,000 instructors, and they put through 750,000 hunters a year. So there's big numbers, and it is a matter of getting our messages to them, because typically hunter education instructors are a little bit, they're quite set in their ways, and some, the status quo is new messages about new technology, new ways to make people even safer. We say we're not going we're not arguing with any of the things you do. Everyone should follow the rules that you say, but in addition to that, extra safety. So getting those messages through to that group and getting some traction there is important because they are the real influences.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.